So are you going to take the new pattern, or you'll take the existing pattern?
New pattern, new pattern.
Okay. So if you take the new pattern, that means there is no there will be no essay writing, because essay writing section will be eliminated, but that will happen towards the beginning of 2024. So if you plan to take the test before that, then you'll have to also prepare for essay writing. Otherwise, in GMAT, according to the new pattern, you will have three sections, right? You will have three sections. One is integrated reasoning, then you have quantitative ability, and you have verbal ability. So these are the three sections that you will solve. AWA is going to be eliminated. Are you aware of the structure?
Yes.
Okay. Another thing is that earlier QA and VA, you could not move back and forward, right? Once you had attempted a question, then um, you move forward. You could not come back. But in the new pattern, what they are going to do is that they are going to allow you to mark three of the questions, any three that you want to review, and you will be able to come back and change the answers for these three particular questions. It will only be applicable for three questions. That's it, right?
Okay.
These are a few changes. The VA, when you look at verbal ability, because right now we are discussing verbal ability, will continue to have three question types. One is sentence correction, which is also called error correction. Then you have reading comprehension, and you also have critical reasoning. Okay, I'll just show you something. Let us say these are five sentences, okay, simple sentences.
Okay.
When you look at the first sentence, the president announced on Monday he will return the taxpayers' money through a special savings fund. Okay, can you see this?
Yes.
So, do you feel that this sentence is correct? I mean, sentences can be correct and incorrect as well. We know that almost 33% of the sentences, they don't have any error.
Hmm. I mean, he's announcing something. It can't be in a running sentence. It seems like something is lacking. So
Okay.
that's how we say it. Said that, announced that.
So
So
when you read this, the first sentence, there is a confusion. What happened on Monday? Yes or no?
yeah.
What happened on Monday? That is the confusion. Was the announcement made on Monday, or is he going to return the taxpayers' money on Monday? That is the confusion, right?
Okay.
So on Monday is a modifier. It is a modifier that is misplaced. So what
Hmm.
is a misplaced modifier? What is a modifier, by the way? Modifier is something that gives you extra information, right?
Hmm.
A modifier is in grammar, modifier is any word or words or phrases that give you extra information, like adjectives. Adjectives are modifiers because they give you extra information.
Hmm.
Okay, so on Monday is of these are two words that give you extra information, right? And it is misplaced. When we say misplaced, that means that whatever modifier you're using, whatever word or phrase you are using, which gives you extra information, you need to place it close to something. Only then you will know what it relates to. If you keep it like this, where it is, if you actually uh, don't place it properly, then there will always be a confusion what is happening on Monday. Okay, so for example, how can we arrange this statement? I can say on Monday, comma, the president announced he will return the taxpayers' money through a special savings fund. Now it is clear that the announcement was made on Monday, if that was your intention. Or
Okay.
if that was not your intention, then you will say the president announced he will return the taxpayers' money through a special savings fund. Now it is clear. In the second instance, it is clear that the return of the money is going to happen on Monday. So on Monday is extra information, right? And this extra information has to be placed properly. Otherwise, we call it a misplaced modifier. I think you must be aware of this terminology. If you have
Yes.
already taken GMAT, then you must be aware of this terminology. So misplaced modifiers can have huge impact. For example, I only ate vegetables. I ate only vegetables. Only is a modifier. Just one position. When I change just one position of the word only, everything changes. Do you think these two statements mean the same?
No.
What is the difference?
The first one means that in entire day that person ate vegetables. But the second one means that from the options available, the person ate the vegetables only.
No, see, the first one, I only ate vegetables means the only thing that I did was that I ate the vegetables. I did not cultivate the vegetables. I did not buy the vegetables. I did not wash the vegetables. I did not cook the vegetables. The only thing that I did was I ate. Okay. Now see, because this is a modifier, it is placed close to 8, right? So it will modify the word ate. I only ate vegetables. That means the only thing that I did with vegetables is that eat them. Neither did I cook them, wash them, purchase them from the market. So entire meaning changes. But in the second statement, when I say I ate only vegetables, then this word only is actually giving you information about vegetables. It is modifying vegetables. That means the only thing that I ate was vegetables. I did not eat any fruits. I did not eat any chapati, rice, or soup, or other things. So everything changes. The meaning entirely changes with the placement of the modifier. So it is important that you get the modifier placed in the proper position. Now, there are so many examples that we can discuss, but right now this is just a trial session. I just wanted to make you aware that this is a concept that is tested a lot. Okay, this is a concept that is tested a lot because it's a concept called misplaced modifier, and you should be aware of it. In short, misplaced modifier means when there is some extra piece of information and that extra piece of information is not placed in the proper position, because of which it is causing confusion or it can lead to different meaning. Okay, that is misplaced modifier. So when we take up GMAT, when we take up error correction in GMAT, then we will discuss this concept. And in fact, when you look at question number 2, it says, working diligently and carefully, the faucet was fixed in no time at all. So this is a modifier. This is a modifier, and the person or thing that this modifier relates to is missing. So we don't know where to place it. We don't know where to place the modifier, and that is why we say that this modifier is dangling. The faucet cannot be working diligently and carefully. So this is an error that is called dangling modifier error, and we need to fix it by putting up a person here, working diligently and carefully. The plumber fixed the faucet in no time at all. Okay, so this is another error which you will have to correct. Then if you look at number 3, it says either the senators or the president are misinformed.
Should
Do you think
be
it's right?
is instead of are, because in this situation we consider the um, tense. No, not tense. What's the correct word? We would consider the phrase after the or. The president is in the singular form.
Okay,
So
this is subject verb agreement.
yeah.
It's a subject verb agreement. Whenever you have two things preceded by either, One of them is plural, the other one is singular. Then what do? Whatever verb you will use, that verb should match the subject that is closest to it. Okay. So either X or Y, either X or Y. So Y is going to be matching with the verb. So here he says either the senators or the president are misinformed will be wrong because president is singular. So I need to use the word is. This problem is called subject verb agreement. Subject verb agreement. So what does subject verb agreement tell you? That whenever you have two subjects, one of them singular, other one plural, and they are joined by either or, then you are going to use a verb that is which matches um, uh, which matches the subject which is closest to it. Because if I actually change this, if I say either the president or the senators, then I need
I'm
R.
misinformed.
Then I will need R. So this error is called subject verb agreement error. What about the next one? Either of the dishes are fine.
There are no errors.
There's no error.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no error. No, there is an error. Whenever, remember, whenever there is only one subject, okay, if it is preceded by either, then it automatically, even if it is plural, if it is preceded by either, it automatically becomes singular. And that is why R is not right. Either of the dishes is fine. So over here, you have a statement that is in the format of either or, and over here you have a statement either. So after either, whether this is singular, whether the subject is singular or plural, that is immaterial. The verb will always be singular. Either of the shirts, either of the dishes, either of the sweets. You can use anything, but you will need a singular verb there. Okay.
But
Then you have, let's say, number 5 statement. It says he is one of the students who studies here. Is this correct?
it be okay.
It seems okay to you?
I'm confused between studies or study.
Okay. So what is it going to be? Study or studies?
Studies.
Studies. No.
Studies.
Whenever you have
One of
this
the.
one of the, after one of the, this word is always going to be plural. Okay, you will see that in these kind of statements, he is one of the, then whatever subject you have, it is always going to be plural. If after that subject, you have the words who or that, then the verb that you use will have to be plural. You cannot have a singular verb, and that is why this is wrong. That is why you need to use study. He is one of the students who study here. He is one of the students who study here. But if you don't have the word who or that, then this rule does not apply. Okay, then this rule does not apply. One of the chairs is broken. We don't say are broken. Okay, I will write one of the chairs is broken. Why am I using is? Because one of the, then there's a plural subject. Same thing happens here, but it is not followed by the word who or that. When it is not followed by the word who or that, then it does not require a plural verb, then it requires a singular verb. This is also subject verb agreement. So in short, subject verb agreement is error correction is pretty lengthy. It is actually pretty lengthy, but in short, I've tried to tell you two concepts. One is of subject verb agreement, other one is concepts related to logical predication. It's called logical predication. That is when you have errors related to modifiers.
Okay.
When we have a class, then we will discuss all this in detail, because in subject verb agreement there are more than 17-18 rules. There are 17-18 rules with exceptions.
Okay.
And most of these rules are tested in a very straightforward manner. Okay. So this is one of the topics, which is error correction. And when we have error correction classes, it is spread over 4-5 sessions, because all the concepts are discussed over 4 to 5 sessions, in which we try to, you know, we try to um, cover all the basic grammar rules that you will require. Many people say you and me will go there. Do you think it is correct?
You and I will go there.
Why do you need the word I? Why will you not use me? What is the concept?
Not aware of the concept, but I know that you and I.
You and I. Why? Because this is the subject, right? Subject of the sentence.
Okay.
So whenever you use a pronoun for subject of the sentence, then you cannot use me, because me is a pronoun that is only used in the object of the sentence. It cannot be used in the subject of the sentence.
Okay.
Okay, so that is why you cannot say you and me. It is always you and I. Now this is reading comprehension, right?
Mm.
The second concept that is tested is reading comprehension. Reading comprehension boils down to six question types. There are six question types that you need to know about if you want to score very good in reading comprehension. In fact, majority of the times, even if you don't really understand the passage much, if you're aware of these six question types, then you know where you can find the answer. And GMAT RC generally are such that you can, very straightforward manner, you can find the answer, with the exception of one or two question types. For example, what is the main idea, or what is the suitable title? What is the main idea, or what is suitable title? We say that if ideally when you read a passage, then you should know what is the main idea. Let's say you go and watch a movie. Then after the movie, can you send a message to your friend and tell him or her that I watched a movie and this is what the movie was all about? You can do that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes or no? So
Yes.
similarly, whenever you read any passage, then if you are able to send a message to your friend, if you can write a message or in one or two sentences, if you can send a message to your friend what that passage was all about, that means you have understood the main idea. But
Mm.
if you do not understand, or you are not able to write that message, that means you will need some shortcuts. So what shortcut can you use? One of the best shortcuts, even though there are so many things you can do, one of the best shortcuts is that very quickly you review the first and the last lines of each paragraph. Okay, so let us say if there are 3 paragraphs, so a total of 6 lines you will read carefully, the first and the last line. When you are
Yes.
reviewing the first and the last line, what will you do? You will carefully, you will look for something that is common in these lines. You look for something that is common in these lines, right? So you will see that when you read these 6 lines, then even if not all the 6 lines, but the majority of them, it's possible that out of these 6, 4 of the lines will have some common idea. There will be some word or some phrase that will be common. I'm not saying
Yes.
that it will be in every single line,
Mhm.
but you will see that in majority of the lines, that idea is going to be common, and that idea which is common is the main idea. For example, one line, it's possible that in one of the lines, he will use the word birth. In another line, he will use the word Genesis. In another line, he can use the word evolution. Now, whether you call it birth, you call it Genesis, or you call it evolution, all mean the same. All mean the same, right? So this is a concept that works very well. This is a concept that works very well, and it works in majority of the situations. Sometimes when they make the passage very complicated, then apart from this, the second step that you apply is that you pay attention to concepts which are called overstating and understating. Now, overstating and understating, what is the meaning of overstating and understating the main idea? Overstating is when you talk about something for which you will require information from outside the passage. That is overstating. Understating is when you become fixated on one or two specific details from the passage and you try to pass it off as the main idea. That is called understating. Now, in the classroom, we will discuss in detail what is overstating and understating with the help of examples. But as of now, when you see, then the best way in which you can find out what is the main idea, if you are in a situation where you don't really understand the passage, is that you review the first and the last lines of each paragraph. You carefully look for something that is common in these lines, and you will see that whatever is common in these lines, that is going to be the main idea. So let us just apply this. Let us try to apply this. This is one of the passages that I have taken from the official guide, GMAT official guide, right? Uh, can you see the passage on your screen?
Yes.
Now, ideally, we should read this, isn't it? Ideally, we should read entire thing. So it says during the 1960s and 70s, the primary economic development strategy of local governments in the United States was to attract manufacturing industries. Then he says, unfortunately, this strategy was usually implemented at another community's expense. Many manufacturing facilities were lured away from their moorings elsewhere through tax incentives and slick promotional efforts. Through the transfer of jobs and related revenues that resulted from this practice, one town's triumph could become another town's tragedy. In the 1980s, the strategy shifted from this zero-sum game to one called high technology development, in which local governments competed to attract newly formed high technology manufacturing firms. Although this approach was preferable to victimizing other geographical areas by taking their jobs, it also had its shortcomings. High-tech manufacturing firms employ only a specially trained fraction of the manufacturing workforce, and there simply are not enough high-tech firms to satisfy all geographic areas. And then he says, recently, local governments have increasingly come to recognize the advantages of yet a third strategy, which is the promotion of homegrown small businesses. Small indigenous businesses are created by a nearly ubiquitous resource, local entrepreneurs. With roots in the communities, these individuals are less likely to be enticed away by incentives offered by another community. Indigenous industry and talent are kept at home, creating an environment that both provides jobs and fosters further entrepreneurship. Now, let's say I don't know what is the main idea. Then the question is, on the next screen, the question is, what is the primary purpose of the passage? I don't understand what this passage was all about. I will focus on the first and the last lines. In the 60s, 70s, the main economic development strategy of local governments, what was it? It was to attract manufacturing industries. And then in this passage, he tells us that there were some problems in this strategy. So in the 1980s, the strategy shifted. So a new strategy came into play, which was called high technology development. Yes or no?
Yeah.
And then he says, even then, even this strategy has had a problem. They are simply not enough firms. So he's ending these passages by telling you that there is something wrong with this strategy, strategy number one. Strategy number two, also there is something wrong. And then he talks about local governments employing a third strategy. Okay, local governments are employing a third strategy. And this strategy, he is trying to tell you that, okay, this strategy has everything positive. There's nothing wrong in it because the industry and talent are kept at home. It creates an environment that provides jobs and fosters entrepreneurship. So he's all positive about this strategy. So if you see, what did he do in this passage? He discussed different strategies employed in different time periods. First, he talks about 1960s, 70s, then he talks about 80s, then he talks about recently. That means he's talking about different time periods and different strategies employed by governments. And in fact, he's telling us what were the pros and cons of each strategy. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So if you ask me to mark an answer, what is the primary purpose of the passage? What should we do? Is he advocating? Advocating means supporting. Does he support more effective strategies for encouraging the development of high technology enterprises in the United States? That means,
Oh,
does he want high technology enterprise in the United States?
mm,
Now, what is the problem with A? The problem with A is that it focuses on only one of the strategies. High technology development was the strategy discussed in the second paragraph. But that is just one of the strategies. Does it provide the complete picture of the passage?
mm,
No. So such an option which focuses on something specific from the passage, it is called an understating the main idea because it focuses on just one of the aspects of the passage and does not provide a complete picture. Option number B says he wants to contrast the incentives for economic development offered by local governments with those offered by the private sector. Now, were any incentives offered by the local government and are any incentives offered by the private sector? This is something
the-
that was not mentioned at all.
mm,
If you want to know about these incentives, you will need information from outside the passage, isn't it? It's possible.
Yes.
It's the possible that the local governments provided incentives and the private sector also provided incentives, but you will need information from outside the passage.
Mm,
So any option that requires information from outside the passage, we call it overstating the main idea. Then number C, he wants to acknowledge and he wants to counter adverse criticism of programs being used to stimulate local economic development. That means people are criticizing all these strategies. He is acknowledging all these criticisms and he is countering them. He is actually answering all those criticisms. Is he doing
mm.
that?
No.
No, no. And then he says he wants to define and he wants to explore the promotional efforts used by local governments to attract new industry. Now, did he tell you about the promotional efforts which were used by local governments? Answer is no.
Mm,
What promotion did local government do? He just said that this is the strategy that they employed. What did they do to promote that strategy? Are we aware? No.
mm.
So ultimately, what does it boil down to? Answer should be number E. He is reviewing and he is evaluating the strategies and programs that have been used to stimulate economic development. He's reviewing and evaluating. That means he's talking about both the pluses and the minuses of the strategies and programs that have been used to stimulate economic development. So the best answer for this question should be E. Getting my point?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Okay. Now from the same passage, there is something called supporting idea questions. Okay, when you look at the types of questions, I told you the first type of question is main idea. Second question type which you face is called supporting idea question. So you will see multiple questions on supporting idea or detail oriented questions. Some books will call it detail oriented questions. Good news is that you will get multiple questions of these kind. They are very easy. They are scoring.
Okay.
Why?
Okay.
Why are they easy in scoring? Because these questions, they ask you about something that is very clearly or directly, very clearly or directly mentioned in the passage itself. So answer is right there in front of you. You don't need to go anywhere. You just need to find the point. You just need to find the point where in the passage is the answer. In fact, GMAT makes it so easy for you. GMAT can tell you in paragraph number 2, the author mentions hungry lizards because. So generally in supporting idea questions, they use words like states, cites, mentions. The author states that, the paragraph or passage cites that, the author mentions that, the passage mentions that. So most of the times they will tell you where you will find the answer. They will tell you in line number 16, the author mentions hungry lizards because. In the third paragraph, the author talks about XYZ concept because. So they're very easy. You know exactly where to go. Sometimes they can make it complicated by asking you what is not mentioned. The author does not mention which of the following in the passage. Instead of saying what does the author mention, he can say author does not mention which of the following. That is the only complication that you can see in these question types, right? So if you actually take a look at the second question, which is a supporting idea question, the second question says, the passage does not state which of the following about local entrepreneurs. Now, where exactly is, now over here, I have not told you line number, paragraph number, but I'm asking you about local entrepreneurs. Where did the author discuss local entrepreneurs? In the third paragraph, isn't it? It was in the third paragraph that he discovered that he discussed local entrepreneurs. So my answer should be in the third paragraph. The passage does not state which of the following about local entrepreneurs. So what is not mentioned about local entrepreneurs? If you want, we can go back. We will concentrate just on the third paragraph. He says, recently, local governments have increasingly come to recognize the advantages of yet a third strategy, which is the promotion of homegrown small businesses. Small indigenous businesses are created by a nearly ubiquitous resource. Ubiquitous means present everywhere. And what is this resource? Local entrepreneurs. So local entrepreneurs are present everywhere. That is what he wants to say. This line, he wants to say that local entrepreneurs are present everywhere because they are ubiquitous. Now, what else does he want to tell you about local entrepreneurs? with roots in their communities, these individuals are less likely to be enticed away by excuse me, incentives offered by another community. Indigenous industry and talent are kept at home, creating an environment that both provides jobs and fosters further entrepreneurship. So these entrepreneurs, because they have roots in the communities, they have families, they are linked to the communities, then they will not easily move to another place.
Hmm.
And they provide employment also, and they also encourage other people to generate employment or to take up entrepreneurship. This is what he's
Hmm.
trying to tell us. So these are things mentioned about local entrepreneurs. What is not mentioned? They are found
Third
nearly
one.
everywhere. I think this is mentioned. They are ubiquitous
Hmm.
resource. They encourage further entrepreneurship. This is also mentioned.
This
Encourage
is
and
not
foster.
mentioned. Yeah.
They foster further entrepreneurship. They are a ubiquitous resource. This was mentioned. Do they attract out of town investors?
That was not
Was anything
mentioned.
of this sort mentioned? No.
No.
Do they employ local workers? Yes. Are they established in the communities? Yes, they have roots in
Yes.
the communities. So we have to mention what is not stated. And that is why answer for this question will be C.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Are you getting this?
Yep.
And then there is one more question from this passage. Again, that question is supporting idea. The
Hmm.
author of the passage mentions which of the following as an advantage of high technology development. Now, even if he does not tell me which paragraph or which line number, I know that
Second paragraph.
high technology development was mentioned in the second paragraph.
Hmm.
What is the advantage of high technology development?
Hmm.
If we don't remember, we can go back. We can go back to the passage and read the second paragraph.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So we were discussing the second paragraph, right? So in the second paragraph, he's saying in the 1980s, the strategy shifted from this zero-sum game to one called high technology development,
Hmm.
in which local governments competed to attract newly formed high technology manufacturing firms. Then he says, although this approach was preferable to victimizing other geographical areas by taking their jobs, it also had its shortcomings.
Hmm.
So, what exactly is the advantage? Here, it's mentioned. This portion talks about the advantage. Because after this, he talks about the disadvantages of high technology manufacturing. The advantage is that this approach was preferable to victimizing other geographical areas by taking their jobs. So, what is the advantage? In high technology development, you don't take away the jobs from other areas. You don't victimize other areas by taking away their jobs. Yes or no?
Yes.
This is what he's saying. So, from the given options, let us see. This is the advantage. There are disadvantages also, but the question is about advantage. What is the
Hmm.
advantage of high technology development? The advantage is that it does not take away jobs from from the other area. So
Hmm.
I think answer for this question should be E.
Hmm.
It does not advantage one local workforce at the expense of another.
Hmm.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Well, okay. So this is how we solve reading comprehension. Right now, I only touched upon two different
Hmm.
question types, and that too not so much in detail. Okay, I just touched upon the main idea, and I just introduced the concept of overstating and understating to you. But we should have, in the classroom, we are going to take a look in a lot of detail and try to understand what is understating and overstating the main idea. Supporting ideas also, supporting ideas are also very easy. But these are just two of the question types out of 6 question types that you will encounter in your exam. For example, you have inference-based questions. You have tone questions. What is the attitude of the author towards somebody or something? What is the organization of the passage? Okay, which idea is similar to this idea? So these are called application questions. So we will discuss all these questions, and reading comprehension, takes around 6 sessions. GMAT reading comprehension, we discuss the question type with examples, we practice on it, and then we move to the next question type. So it takes us 6 to 7 sessions to complete RC, GMAT RC. The example that I have taken today, it is a pretty average passage. It's not difficult at all. There are some passages that can be pretty complicated. So we'll take a look at those passages as well. So this was RC for you. And now the third concept that is tested is called critical reasoning. Now, critical reasoning does not have any formula. Critical reasoning is common sense, does not have any formula, right? For example, for example, we will try to solve this question and see how we will be able to solve it. In Swatskin territory, archaeologists discovered charred bone fragments dating back 1 million years. Charred, charred means they were burnt. So in Swatskin territory, archaeologists have discovered badly burnt bone fragments, and these bone fragments, they are dating back 1 million years. So they are 1 million years old. When these fragments were analyzed, okay, what did we know? These fragments, bones, they belong to a variety of animals. So these are not human bones, these are bones of the animals where they were badly burned. So when they were analyzed, the analysis showed that they had been heated to temperatures no higher than those produced in experimental campfires made from branches of white stinkwood, the most common tree around Swartsville. Now, this is important. What is this telling you? That the area from which this, from where the fragments were found, the tree that is very common is called white stinkwood. White stinkwood is the tree that is very common in that area. And when you use this tree to build a campfire, so who builds a campfire? Humans, right? Animals don't build a campfire. So when you use the branches of these trees, when you use the wood of these trees to build the campfire, then whatever temperature is produced, these bone fragments were burnt at the same temperature. What does he want to say? The moment he's telling you that these temperatures were no higher than those produced in campfires, he wants to say that these bones that were burned, they were burned by humans. Humans must have killed the animals. Humans must have killed the animals. They must have taken the branches of this tree. They must have lit a fire, and they must have cooked the animals. They must have eaten all the meat and flesh, and they must have thrown the bones, or they must have thrown the bones in the fire, and it is these bones that have been discovered. So ultimately, what he wants to tell you is that 1 million years back, humans were responsible. Humans used fire. Humans used fire. Sorry, fire. When question says, which of the following, if true, would, together with the information above, provide the best basis for the claim that the charred bone fragments are evidence of the use of fire by early hominids? Early hominids means early humans. Okay, which of the following out of these 5, which of the 5 options prove to you, or they gives you evidence that whatever bone fragments have been found, it proves that fire was used by early hominids. This is what he's trying to tell you indirect. This is what he's trying to tell you. So we will read the options. Which of the options prove that 1 million years back, it was humans who used this fire, who lit the fire, who burned the animals to eat them, and they left the bone fragments in the fire, which were charred. Okay, so we need to look at that. So if you look at option A, it says the white stinkwood tree is used for building material by the present day inhabitants of Swatskin. So this tree that is found in Swatskin, it is used in the present day by the people of Swatskin. So does this prove that the humans were able to use fire 1 million years back?
No.
No, no. It simply states that people are using it today. So we are not concerned about the uses today. We want to prove that humans could have used fire 1 million years back. So A does not.
Okay.
Then he says number B, forest fires can heat wood to a range of temperatures that occur in campfires. Number B is saying that even forest fire means sometimes because of the heat, automatically the forest catches fire, isn't it? Isn't it? It's called
Yes.
wildfire. It's called wildfire. So wildfire can heat the wood to a range of temperatures that occur in campfires. If I mark number B, don't you think I will be proving the author wrong? Author
Yes.
is saying that this fire was used by humans. And
Hmm.
number B is saying that the same fire can also happen because of fossil. The same temperature that you find in campfire can also be because of forest fire. So if it is because of forest fire, then that means humans did not use fire.
Hmm.
The bones were burned because of the forest fire and not by the humans.
Hmm.
Number B does not prove. In fact, number B disproves what the author is trying to say.
Okay.
Are you getting my point?
Hmm.
Okay. Number C, the bone fragments were fitted together by the archaeologists to form the complete skeletons of several animals. So this does not do anything. Whatever bones were
Hmm.
you found, you put them together, you form the skeleton of several animals. So does it have any relation to humans using fire 1 million years back? No. So number C is irrelevant. Yes or no?
Yes.
Number C is irrelevant. It is just given to distract you. Coming
Okay.
to number D.
Hmm.
Apart from the Swatskin discovery, there is reliable evidence that early hominids used fire as many as 500,000 years ago. So it is not just this, it is not just in Swatskin. In fact, we have evidence that early humans, they used fire 500,000 years ago. 500,000 years ago means half million years ago. Yes or no?
Hmm.
But the question is that it is just half a million. We have to go back 1 million years. So even though number D proves that humans could use fire, but it proves that human could use fire half million years ago and not 1 million years back.
Hmm.
So it is incomplete. Yes or no? It is
Yeah.
incomplete. It does not prove that humans could use fire 1 million years back. And that is why finally we come to the answer, which is E. It says the bone fragments were
Hmm.
found in several distinct layers of limestone that contained primitive cutting tools known to have been used by early hominids.
Yes.
So the layer of limestone where the bone fragments were found, in the same layer, some primitive cutting tools were also found, and we know that primitive cutting tools, they were used by hominids. This proves that the bone fragments are also 1 million years old, and the primitive cutting tools are also 1 million years old.
Yeah.
That means humans, they must have used the tools to cut the animals, and they must have cooked the animals to use. So it's proved that humans were there 1 million years back. They could use fire 1 million years back.
Yeah.
That is why answer for this question will be E.
Mm.
Did you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is one question, and I think I'll take up for the trial session one last question that is based on critical reasoning.
Mm.
He says, the increasing complexity of scientific inquiry has led to a proliferation of multi-author technical articles. Reports of clinical trials involving patients from several hospitals are usually co-authored by physicians from each participating hospital. Likewise, physics papers reporting results from experiments using subsystems developed at various laboratories generally have authors from each laboratory. So these days we see that there is a lot of multi-authored articles. Yes or no? That is what he's saying. In short, there is a proliferation. Proliferation means rapid growth. Proliferation means rapid growth. There is rapid growth of multi-authored articles. Okay. Now, what happens in multi-authored articles? Whenever there are patients from several hospitals, then the physician from each of the participating hospital will make a contribution. Okay. Similarly, if there is any physics paper, if it is talking about systems developed at laboratories, then it will have authors from each of the laboratories. So when it is multi-authored, then, and if it is from several places, then all the people from these several places will make a contribution. So let us say there is a hospital. It has 3 departments, A, B, C. Now there is a multi-authored article that has come from this hospital, and a person from A, a person from B, and a person from C. There's one person from all these 3 departments. They have given the input. When you have such a situation, then this article, that is what he's saying, this article will have an input from all these 3 departments, because similarly, if there are various laboratories from which experiments have been included in a physics paper, then the authors from each laboratory will make a contribution. Okay? So the question is, if all the statements above are true, which one of the following must be true? When we say that clinical trials which involve patients from several hospitals, they are never conducted solely by physicians from just one hospital. Can we say that? Okay, if multi-authored, first condition is that something has to be, an article has to be multi-authored. Only when it is multi-authored, everything starts. But it is not necessary that it has to be multi-authored. Can we say that it is never conducted solely by physicians from just one hospital? No, that's not true. So it's a condition. If it is multi-authored, then every person from every department makes a contribution, right? Number B says, most reports of clinical trials involving patients from several hospitals have multiple authors. That's also not true. That's also not true. It is not necessary that most of the reports have to be multi-authored. Most of the reports can be individual also. Only when it is multi-authored, then this condition is satisfied.
Hmm.
Similarly, when a technical article has multiple authors, they are usually from different institutions. No, they can be from the same institution but different departments. Yes or no?
Hmm. Hmm.
So number C also is not right. Number D, physics papers authored by researchers from multiple laboratories will usually report results from experiments using subsystems developed at each laboratory. Yes. So each
Hmm.
laboratory will make a contribution. It is a paper in which the research from multiple laboratories are reported. So each laboratory will make a contribution. This is exactly what he's trying to say. D, it looks good. D looks good. And then he says most technical articles are authored solely by the researchers who conducted the experiments these articles report. That's not true. Technical articles can be authored by somebody, experiments can be conducted by somebody else.
Hmm.
E also is not right. Best answer for this question will be number D, because in number D, the condition is satisfied that if an article is multi-authored, then all the departments, all the institutions, all the laboratories from which these authors are making a contribution, they will be represented. So it is number D that is the answer. Are you
Okay.
getting the point?
Yeah.
Did you understand this?
Could you please explain why it's not B? Because I was very sure it was B.
Sorry, what?
Could you please explain again why it wasn't B? Option B.
B for Bombay.
Yeah.
Most reports of clinical trials involving patients from several hospitals have multiple authors. Now that is not true.
Hmm.
Okay. I
Hmm.
am saying that if it is a multi-authored technical article,
Okay.
then each each author will make a contribution. Okay.
Hmm.
But if it is not a multi-authored, then just because I'm saying that if you have multi-authored article, then each author will make a contribution. But that does not mean that majority of the articles are multi-authored.
Hmm.
So if you mark number B, it is trying to say that majority of the articles are multi-authored, but that is not true. It's
Okay.
possible that only 10% of the articles are multi-authored. But
Hmm.
yes, if it is multi-authored, then each author will make a contribution. Now, we don't know how many of the articles are multi-authored.
Got
Okay.
it.
Otherwise, in
Hmm.
number B, you are kind of assuming that majority of the articles are multi-authored, but that's not true. Okay. If I say, if you play football, you can get hurt. Now you have got yourself injured. Does that mean that you
Hmm.
were playing football?
Hmm.
Not necessarily.
Hmm.
If you play football, you can get hurt, right? You have got injured. But does that necessarily mean that you were playing football? No. You may have got hurt due to some other reason also,
Hmm.
right? So same thing is happening over here. If it is multi-authored, then each author will make a contribution. But that is
Hmm.
not necessarily true that all articles have to be multi-authored.
Hmm.
That is why D is the answer.
Got it.
Okay. Okay. So what are your thoughts? In a nutshell, I've tried to explain certain things.
Hmm.
Right. So when we if we actually have sessions, then we will discuss things, and hopefully we'll be able to solve all your queries, right? So you
Yeah.
can just reflect on whatever we discussed today, and
Hmm.
you can communicate with the counselor,